Hello. Good morning. A nice morning to all of you. I hope it is a nice morning to all of you. Is it? A fresh and nice morning. Welcome back, or welcome to we start a day with biology. Welcome back, welcome dear children. And let's start our day. I hope each one of you are fine and doing great and rocking as usual. Today, as we are with the chapter tissues, the last day there was a network issue actually, and a network drop. So some of you had problems that came to me and asked whether the class is over, but there was a network drop in general, and that was, in fact, that portion whichever was going on was recorded. If you have any doubt, please go through it, or you can come to me, and if any doubts are there, you can come on my personal window. Okay, so let's move on. Just recalling back, we started with the tissues, and we said what is a tissue, defined tissues, and then we learned about the differences between plant tissue and animal tissue. Then we said plant tissue is divided into two types, the meristematic tissue and the permanent tissue. The meristematic, I'm just brushing you guys, recalling you back. The meristematic tissue divided into apical meristem, intercalary meristem, and the lateral meristem. And then last we were doing the permanent tissue, and permanent tissue is again divided into two, right? That had a simple permanent tissue, all the chimeras, remember? I hope you went through all those portion, which at least go through. If you're not able to study, at least go through. But my dear children, learn the first chapter very well. If you have not started, please start studying, because exams are coming on, it's coming by. Okay, exams will be conducted, that is why. And then we said about parenchyma, we said chlorenchyma, erenchyma, the sclerenchyma, the collenchyma. We did the features about that. Then we had the complex permanent tissue. Permanent tissue, it does have the xylem and phloem. Xylem has its own components, the trachea, the vessels, xylem parenchyma. Then here we have the phloem. I'm just recalling whatever we have done. And phloem, we have the sieve tube sieve cells. Okay. Then we have the phloem fibers, phloem parenchyma. So all those were discussed in the previous class. So till here, you should go through, and you should, at least go through it and at least make sure that you know things. Don't keep it in the last minute. Now we have something called, there are protective tissues. Okay? There are protective tissues. There are two types. That is, one is the epidermis and the other one is the cork. So here we start with the epidermis. The epidermis is now we are going in detail about this. Epidermis, I did show you the picture earlier, the first layer of the cell, the outermost layer of the cell. So here, epidermis is the outermost layer of the cells, and they are made up of single layer of cells. Epidermis covers the entire surface of a plant, and it protects the parts of a plant. So epidermis is the outermost layer of the cells. Okay, and they protect the entire surface of a plant, or they protect all the parts of the plant. They cover the entire surface, and as well as they protect all the parts of a plant. You can see I've just given a picture as such, just a half view. The first layer is the epidermis, okay, the outermost layer. Now, epidermis and epidermal cells, for example, in plants living in dry habitats. So what comes into your mind? Which plant will come into your mind when it's a dry habitat? Idea? Cactus. Okay, cactus with spines. So what happens to such plants, the epidermal cells there? You know that in dry conditions, water is a problem there in deserts. So whatever water they have to store it. The plants have to store it. They cannot, lose water unnecessarily. They have to prevent water loss. So here, in epidermal cells in plants living in very dry habitats, secrete a waxy, water-resistant layer on their outer surface. This waxy coating in desert plants is cutin. It's a chemical substance with waterproof quality. Okay, to prevent water loss. Such a substance is produced on the outer surface of the leaves. Okay, and here in cactus, you must know, they make their food in their stems. On the surface, they make their food in their stems. They don't have leaves as such. They have spines, but they make their food in their stems, in desert plants like cactus. And here, what happens, the epidermis in such plants is much thicker, since they have to protect. The water loss is critical in such. So the epidermis is much thicker in desert plants. For what? To prevent water loss. That is why they have a thicky waxing coating which is called as cutin. I don't think that is there in your text. You can just write it down, or later you can, when you go through this video again, you can just note it down, or you can note it down now. Cutin. Cutin is a chemical substance which is produced which is seen a thick, waxy water-resistant layer, or in plants such as in desert plants. Okay, they need this because in dry condition or dry area, plants living in dry habitats, they will not have the water. The water over there is not much. So whatever water they get, they have to store it. So to prevent water loss, they have a thick waxy coating, that is cutin. It is not there in text, you can note it down. Then epidermal cells on the aerial parts of a plant. Now in aerial parts of the plant, it means which is exposed in air, like the leaves, the branches. Okay, those portions are exposed in air. So there also in epidermal cells on the aerial parts of the branches, flowers, stems, all those areas. That is the aerial parts which is exposed outside. So on the aerial parts of the plant, they secrete a waxy layer, water-resistant layer on their outer. Even here they secrete a waxy layer that is also present in the aerial parts of the plant. This prevents what? Water loss, the mechanical injury, and invasion by parasitic fungi. So when they have this, they should have this so that we can avoid water loss, mechanical injury, any injury may caused by any clematis or anything, or by invasion by parasitic fungi, okay, by the microorganisms. So having this, they can avoid all this. So they can prevent water loss, the mechanical injury, any injury or caused by any conditions, and by parasitic fungi. So that is why epidermis on aerial parts, they should have a waxy coating to avoid all this. They have to see that this is done correctly. They should have this waxy resistant layer on them, the aerial parts which is exposed in air. Now as we know that epidermal cells, the main role is protection. Epidermis, the main role is protection. So what happens? They form a continuous layer without any intercellular spaces. Earlier we had learned in parenchyma, they have large intercellular spaces, then colloderma has very little. So like that here, the main role is protection. So what happens? They form a continuous layer without intercellular spaces. Now how the cells are? They are normally flat, and the outer and side walls are thicker than the inner walls. So how the structure is? The cells on the outer side, you can see there, outer side, and the side walls, outer and side walls are thicker than which is in the inner wall. So these are how the cells are arranged. The thickness, they're flat, and how the portion where it is thicker, that is mentioned, the outer and the side walls. They are thicker than the inner wall. Again, I've just mentioned that plants in dry conditions will have thick epidermis to prevent water loss. This is very important, that plants in dry condition, they have thick epidermis to prevent the water loss. I hope all of you are with me. Okay. Then we have, it's continuing, the epidermis is continuing. We are very well, I know by now you must, this thing we are learning when? Since the, I think your grade 3 or grade 4, you have this. We know that what it is. And it has been there, now you are in grade 9 and it's still there. Okay, so here also, epidermis of leaves have small pores, and we know these pores are called stomata, and they're guarded by bean-shaped cells called the kidney-shaped cells or bean-shaped called the guard cells. Here, for what they need, that's why we need stomata. It is mainly necessary for, this is a thing which you already know, which is necessary for exchanging gases with the atmosphere. I've just given this so that, by looking at the picture itself, you know that the stomata, and they are kidney-shaped cells which are called the guard cells. So this is a part of the epidermis. Then I've just given about transpiration, because transpiration means loss of water in the form of water vapor takes place through stomata. Even loss of water happens through the portion stomata. And now here in epidermal cells, we have done with the leaves, we've done with the outer, what it is exactly, and in dry habitus and aerial. And here we have now in roots, the epidermal cells of the roots. What we know that roots, the main function is to absorb whatever they can, the water, the nutrients, whatever is there in the soil, whatever they can, they absorb through the roots. And now here, I'm sure when you used to draw in your smaller classes, we used to draw a plant and label the parts of the plant, and we have normally in the roots we give small structures, and we say small line structures on the roots. I think you remember that. On the roots we draw and give a lot of small lines on it, and those are called the root hairs. Actually the root hairs, they absorb all whatever water and nutrients from the soil, whatever they get, and then they pass through the roots to the different parts of the plant. So root hairs are long hair-like structures in the roots. So they have lot of branches, small lines, small branches as such. We don't say exactly branches, we say root hairs. So they have long hair-like parts. That is epidermal cells of the roots whose function is water absorption. Mainly not only water absorption, they absorb the nutrients. Commonly have long hair-like parts that increase the total absorptive surface area. This is just nothing, is that the root hairs, they play a great role. They absorb whatever nutrients and they absorb water, and then from there the root hair, they go to the main root, and then they give it to the rest of the plant. That is what is happening here. So epidermis, what is it? All those features which I said in the dry habitat. Then we talked about the aerial, they are also waxy coating, the other one cutin, and then we talked about the epidermis on the leaves, that is the stomata. And they are guarded by kidney-shaped cells called the guard cells. And what happens in stomata? The exchange of gases does happen. And then I said about transpiration, because transpiration means what? It's a loss of water vapor, or loss of water in the form of water vapor, where through the stomata. Then here we said about roots, again epidermis. So these epidermis is very important. It's a protective tissue. So here, one by one, what role it plays, that is what I'm trying to tell you out. Here in roots, again, the root hairs, the long hair-like structure, the root hairs, they play a great role here in the roots to absorb the nutrients and water. And it gives directly to the plant. Now there's a question in your book given like, why the outer layer of a branch? Now we have done with the epidermis. Now we have to go to the second protective tissue. It's given that why the outer layer of a branch of a tree is different from a young stem. Why is it? So we know that as plants grow older, the outer protective tissue, when plants grow older, the outer protective tissue undergoes certain changes. Naturally, when the plant they grow, they keep on growing, and when they grow older, the outer protective tissue undergoes certain changes. Here what happens? The outer layer of the branch, of a tree is covered with bark. Bark is mainly seen on the outer portion normally in a woody, woody plants, right? Bark, and it is made up of here the outer layer of the branch is covered with bark made up of dead cells called cork. The outer layer of the branch is covered. So the plant has been matured. Now what happens here? The outer layer of the branch is covered with bark that is made up of dead cells. The bark is made up of dead cells called cork. the arrangement is there. Here also compactly arranged without any intracellular spaces. Now here, how they protect, you should see how they also protect. They also have a substance called suberin in their walls. Earlier we had the desipant cutin, here we have suberin in their walls that makes them impervious to gases. Impervious means impenetrable, means they will not allow the fluid to enter. It's a protection. That substance, because of this substance, it will not allow impervious to gases and water, and gives it strength and protect the plant from injury infection. Because of the substance suberin, it protects the plant from any injury and infection and gives strength. If this is not there, if the substance is not there, it becomes a problem for it. So, but you have to note that the outer layer of a young tree stem is always made up of living cells. Here we said about the outer layer of the branch, okay, covered when the plant, when the tree matures or grows older, changes happens, and then mainly it is covered with bark made up of dead cells called cork. Here the arrangement, again it is arranged compactly without any intercellular spaces. So here these are the two protective tissue, that is, one is the epidermis and the other one is the cork. Here I've given the notes. You can see it, today when you get, you can write it as, you can just learn it. I've given it in a simple way so that you can remember. So these are the two protective tissue. Here you must understand, here it's mainly the suberin, the substance in the walls which makes them impervious to gases. Impervious means that impenetrable, does not allow, and it gives strength and protects the plant from injury and infection. So with this, we are done with our plant tissue. Okay, so we are done. A long way we had gone, and with this the plant tissue comes to an end. You have to go through, just knowing, hearing our class and just going through it will not work. You have to try to make time and study. It's not very easy that will enter here. Take time and study in points. That will be easier, especially in this chapter. Now we will start with animal tissue. Okay, we will start with it. Now obviously the main difference between animal tissue and plant tissue, that mainly we know that the plants, they have the cell wall and we do not have a cell wall. Animal tissue does not have a cell wall, but plants, they do have a cell wall. So till now we have learned about plant tissue, and the cells of plant tissue have cell wall and cells of animal tissue does not have cell wall. This is the major difference between plant and animal tissue. Major difference. We have been learning this since last year. This is the major difference. Now we can see, okay, by now you must have seen already, we are breathing like this. Okay, when we breathe, we know that when we breathe, we actually feel the movement into our chest. Can you just inhale, exhale, all of you? Slowly inhale and exhale. Can you feel? I'm sure you're feeling like this now. We just given the image there. Inhale and exhale. So you can feel the movement there. Somebody is playing a role there for us. Did you all feel that? Okay, that's nice. So here what happens, we have specialized cells called muscle cells. Okay, that is what happened. We know this process. The contraction and relaxation of these muscle cells result in movement. Inhale, exhale. Contraction and relaxation. I'm sure you know about all this. We have learned in respiration, all this, the process, inhalation and exhale, inhaling the air and exhaling the air. We have learned this. So whatever you have done now, inhaling and exhaling, this is what was happening. I hope you all got that feel. Okay, so it just does not happen. It happens because we have specialized cells called muscle cells. Okay, so not only muscle cells, what about the blood? We know that blood also transports different substances in our body, okay, and it also takes out, it disposes of waste out through the kidneys. They also play a great role. So the blood, the muscle, they all are examples of animal tissue. Okay, so blood, I talked about blood. Then we talked about the muscle cells. Now we will move on to the different types of animal tissue. Like plant tissue, we have different types of animal tissue. Are you all with me? Are you? Or having a nice time, morning, first period bio, just having a relaxing mode. Come on, be with me, okay? Okay, thank you. So now here, the animal tissue is based on the functions. So here again, tissues are based on the functions. The first tissue is the epithelial tissue. The second, we have the connective tissue. Third, the muscular tissue, which we just said muscle cells. And we have the nervous tissue. Now, a natural nervous tissue, neuron. There's nothing new in that. Okay. Here, we are going to start with the epithelial tissue. I've just given the image. I hope you can see. You can see the connective tissue, the nervous tissue. Then we have the epithelial tissue. Epithelial tissue, now we can know where from that. You can just feel that on your hands itself. You can't see it, but you can feel it. And then here, now we will start with epithelial tissue or epithelium. So we'll start with epithelial tissue. We are going to start with epithelial tissue. Here it is the outer, it's the covering or the protective tissues in the animal body. The covering or protective tissues in the animal body are the epithelial tissues. I won't run here because we cannot run in such portions. You have to be very attentive when we are doing this. You all have to be with me. Here it is a covering or it is a protective tissue in the animal body. These are epithelial tissues, covering or the protective tissue. Then epithelial covers almost most of the organs and cavities within the body. So epithelial is found, it covers most of the organs and whatever cavities are there in the body. Now epithelial, it also forms a barrier to keep different body systems separate. So we have different systems, right? You know that we have different systems. So different respiratory system, digestive, so it acts as a barrier and to keep different body systems separate. Like you go in the mall, say we don't have the Lulu Mall, we have the MOT, okay? There, the security who's there, he will decide whether, it gives a separation when we go there to park the car, he decides whether to enter and he keeps a barrier as such for different parking lots. So I've just given an example like that. So here it acts as this epithelial tissue acts as a barrier to keep different body systems separate. So we have different systems in our body. So this epithelial tissue forms a barrier. Okay, that you should know. So it is the covering or the protective tissues in the animal body. These are the epithelial tissues. Then they cover almost most of the organs and the cavities in the body. And they form a barrier to different body systems, separate. They form a barrier. These are the features or the characteristics of epithelial tissue. Now here, now I'm giving where are epithelial tissues found? Children, how we ask questions in this. I'll just give you a model. The skin, the lining of the mouth, the lining of the blood vessels, which type of tissue is found here? So you must be ready to answer that. You cannot avoid the examples. Again, I'm saying you cannot avoid the examples. You have to be very thorough in the examples, what you're going to learn. So when I say here, even epithelial, you can see how it is going, then you'll understand what I meant. Here, the skin, lining of the mouth, the skin, can you feel the skin? All of you touch your skin? Yeah, beautiful, soft skin. Okay, the lining of the mouth, I don't expect you to go and dig your mouth out. The lining, the inside of the mouth, the lining of the blood vessel, that is not possible. Oh my God, that is not possible to check. The lung alveoli, the structure in the lungs, kidney tubules, kidney, there also you can't touch, are all made up of epithelial tissue. Again, your skin, you can feel your skin, your soft skin, the lining of the mouth, the lining of the mouth, okay, the lining of the blood vessels, the lung alveoli, and the kidney tubules are made up of epithelial tissue. This is important. You should learn how which are the examples, because questions can come like that. They won't ask you, they might not ask you, give the features of epithelial tissue. They can ask you maybe 1 or 2 marks, but mainly they'll ask, name the fold, name the tissues for the following. So if I gave you skin, lung alveoli, or the kidney tubules, because we have furthermore, it is this I'm telling you a model of what we'll ask, what is it? Okay, so you must be ready to write epithelial tissue. So I'm just giving you one mode of how the question can come. And here, the features again, they're tightly packed and form a continuous sheet. They're tightly packed and form a continuous sheet. They have only a small, so when they're tightly packed, obviously, and they form a continuous sheet, there will not be much space between that. They have the amount of cementing material between them, and they'll have very little amount, or not the cement which you take for the buildings. Don't think that. Okay, the space and the cells, as they are tightly packed, there won't be much space in that. It's obviously when they're tightly packed, there won't be space in that, and they'll have very small amount of cementing material between them, the attachment between one cell to another. So very little small amount of cementing material, and almost there's no space. When tightly packed itself, it is understood that they'll have no space in them, and they will form a continuous sheet. These are the features. Example I've set up, and these are the features. We'll move on. Now here, epithelial tissue, you can see I've just given how it is just, you don't have to worry about the diagram, just to help you out to know what is given in the slide. The permeability means the molecules happens through diffusion in and out of the body. The permeability of the cells, okay, of various epithelial play a great role in the exchange of materials between the body and the external environment, and also between different parts of the body. So that is the process, diffusion in and out. Okay, epithelial tissue does play a great role, the exchange of materials between the body, inside the body and outside, and then within the body parts. Just to show you how it is, I have just given a image. You don't worry about the image. It is in and out. That's what I'm saying. Diffusion inside, oxygen, and outside. It is showing up just to show you this. Diffusion process, how it happens. Now you'll ask me why you should learn this. No, you don't have to, you just have to see it. You don't have to bother about the diagram. Here we are talking about the permeability. That is why of the cells of various epithelial, they play a great role. So for what? To regulate the exchange of materials between the body and the external environment. I'm repeating again, and between different parts of the body. Just they're talking about the permeability of the cells in the various epithelial tissue. Yes. Now we can see, you must have seen an arrow just moved up. Here, all the epithelium tissue, you can see that there one arrow, it did come up. It's usually separated from the underlying tissue by an extracellular fibrous basement membrane. So all the epitheliums are coming forward. That is why I'm saying here they are usually separated. How they are separated? By an extracellular thick fibrous basement membrane here. Okay, epithelial basement membrane. All the epithelium is usually separated from other underlying tissues. How they are separated? From all the underlying tissues. There are many other tissues down. How they are separated? By an extracellular basement membrane. That I wanted to show you that. That is why it is here. Okay? So all the epithelium, they are separated from the underlying tissue by an extracellular fibrous basement membrane. You just have to know it. Through a picture only you will get it in your head what it is. So there is a fibrous basement membrane here, separated from the other underlying tissues. Now we are going to the different types of epithelium tissues. I don't know how much we can move forward, but with whatever I have, I will stop it there. Here, now based on the unique functions, epithelial tissues shows different structures in the body. So now we are going to different types of epithelium tissue. This is a long, here also I told you it's divided. So here where epithelial lining of the blood vessels or lung alveoli, where the function is transportation of substances through selectively permeable membrane. So the epithelium lining of the blood vessels or lung alveoli. Here what we know, naturally when blood vessels are there, the transportation happens obviously, and the lung alveoli also, lung transportation does happen of substances through selectively permeable membrane. The same thing what we know before. The epithelium found here is simple flat structure. This is called squamous epithelium. Okay, this is called the squamous epithelium, where in the lining of the blood vessels or the lung alveoli, this type of epithelium is found, that is squamous epithelium. Now what is squamous epithelium? Squama means scale of the skin. Here this is simple squamous epithelium cells. There are two types coming up, simple and there is one more there. So you must understand this cannot, that's why I said we cannot run in this portion. There are so many things you have to know. Here squama means scale of skin. This is simple squamous epithelium cells which I am talking, are extremely thin and flat and form a delicate lining. That is the example where the blood what we said, and the lung alveoli, blood vessels and the lung alveoli. Here simple squamous epithelium cells are formed, which is what is it? They are thin and flat and they form delicate lining. As well as esophagus also, they are there. The simple squamous is found in esophagus, and the lining of the mouth are also made with squamous epithelium. So squamous epithelium, the examples are the lining of the blood vessels or the lung alveoli, and we have here the esophagus and the lining of the mouth are made with squamous epithelium, simple squamous epithelium. I hope you all are with me, or you all must be having googly eyes by now. So much there. Okay, I know so much is there. For today, we will stop with simple squamous epithelium. So we started with the two protective tissues of the plants. We were done with it, and I told you about the importance of cutaneous suberin, why is it important, and epidermis, the major role is protection. Then the cork, and mainly seen in the bark of the thing. Once the plants or tree, they grow up, they become, certain changes happens, and they have the substance suberin there. That again also is for protection and for prevent the invasion from the parasitic fungi. We were done with the plant tissues. Then we started with animal tissues, starting with the inhale and exhale of our lungs, and you all felt it because we have specialized cells called the muscle cells. Then I said we have different types of animal tissues. That is we started with the epithelium tissue, and we started with the for some features of epithelium tissue, and I told a few examples there. Then epithelium tissue is also divided. It goes on that we started with the simple squamous epithelium, because there is the next one, stratified squamous epithelium, that's found in skin, that we will do in the next class. So till this much, whatever I've taught, please go through, at least go through, because first chapter, be thorough, there is exam coming by, start learning. So for today I'm winding up now, and we will do the rest in the next class. I just want to see you guys, I didn't see you in the previous class. Okay, so switch on your videos. Please switch on your videos.